Hi, I'm Dan Boulston, Methodist minister in Bognor Regis, Feltham and Westergate, and welcome to this week's Reflections. Throughout August, our theme is Learning in Lockdown, and we're going to be reflecting, and I'm going to be encouraging us all to reflect ourselves on what we might have been learning, collectively and individually, through lockdown. These giraffes sit on my windowsill. You might have seen them in some of my previous videos. We bought them on a holiday in France in 2012, and they remind me of that holiday we spent together. They sat on our mantelpiece when we were in Cornwall, and then they went into storage while we were in Birmingham. And when we moved here, Louise, my wife, thought we should just get rid of them, but I didn't. And so we found a compromise. They ended up in my office. Now, they not only remind me of our holiday, they also remind me that as human beings, including as married couples, we can sometimes have differences of opinion. And I want to encourage us to reflect this month on what we may be learning from lockdown. Because I do not believe that this is a time of life on pause that doesn't matter. I don't believe that this is a time that God is going to let be wasted. Just as the time the Israelites spent in the wilderness was formational for them, I believe that our living in lockdown is a time that can be formational for us, where God has and continues to speak to us, challenge us and change us. For some of us, we may feel like lockdown is over. For others, we may very much still feel like we're in lockdown. And for others again, maybe we're somewhere in the middle, or we don't really know whether we're in lockdown or not at all. Wherever we are on that spectrum, actually it doesn't really matter. But it goes to prove one thing. And one thing that I've found increasingly clear and I've become increasingly conscious of over these last few months as I've sought to minister in lockdown. And that's just how diverse and different we all are. And that's where this month of thinking about learning from lockdown is going to begin. In the book of Corinthians, in book 1, we read, "For just as the body has lots of different parts, all are part of one whole, so it is with the body of Christ." The body of Christ, the community of faith, is made up of lots of different parts. We all look different, we all think differently, we all respond to the circumstances of life with the full colour palette of human diversity. I've seen the difference and diversity in so many different ways through lockdown. Some people seem to have thrived in lockdown, energised by the new opportunities and the environments and the challenges. Others have really struggled, and others have been somewhere in between, with good days and some not so good days. Christian faith is not about conformity. It's not about creating robots that think and speak the same. It's about being a community of faith that can call itself a community while celebrating the fact we're different. It's about being a people that are tuned into God's Spirit, collectively discerning what God's Spirit is saying to us as individuals and as a community of faith. As we've worshipped from our homes, I found my role as a minister being less of a leader of worship and more of an enabler of worship, offering lots of different resources by post and online, seeking to resource the diverse and different people that make up the churches that I serve. And it's been a joy to see that diversity thriving, but a challenge at times to keep up. So as we start this month, reflecting on what we might be learning from lockdown, I want us to start with a recognition of the diversity and difference among us. So I want to encourage us all to start this month by reflecting and thinking and praying for ourselves, and reflecting on the question of what we would say we have learnt in lockdown or are learning in lockdown. And let's try to go a bit deeper and a bit further than simply saying, "I've learnt to use Zoom." I know lots of you have, and that's a great achievement, but let's go a bit deeper and a bit further than that. What has God been speaking to you about? How has God been speaking to you? Where has God been speaking to you or challenging you or encouraging you? What has God's Spirit been saying? What is God's Spirit saying? What will God's Spirit say?